A month ago, if you were speaking bullish about cryptocurrency, you got laughed out of the room or you got laughed at and called an idiot in your comment section on YouTube. Now, if you're bearish, you get laughed at and people make fun of you. I'm not bearish long term, but we have been moving up very quickly right now. So I think it's important whenever you're an investor, not to be irrational, bearish or bullish, but to look at the market and say, okay, if my asset goes up, or if it goes down, if it goes up in relation to other assets or it goes down in relation to other assets, what am I going to do? I think that just makes sense. That's the only way to be an investor. You can't just always think blindly the same thing without taking in new knowledge and making a judgment for what you want to do going forward. That would just be insane. That's not investing. That's just buying and never changing your mind. So I think it's important to look at the market right now because we have been moving up very quickly so far this year, and FOMO is setting in for some people. Greed is being struck on the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index, and I'm not saying we're going to fall back down right now, but we do have an important week ahead. We have the FOMC meeting. We have big tech earnings. We have on the Bitcoin chart the 50-week, the 200-week converging around 25,000. We had a prior resistance around 25,000. And we also have the price going up to about 25,000 all at the same time. So we could have an explosive move to the upside, or we could fall right back down. Now, this is, again, happening at the same time that we're starting to see people really get excited about altcoins, talking about 10x altcoins, 100x altcoins. We had the second best year to date so far on Bitcoin. So I think it's time to take a second and just figure out our plan. Whether the market moves up, whether it moves down, what are you going to do moving forward? Because you don't want to just blindly do the same thing without really thinking through the different options. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. If you want to support the channel, there are links underneath the video. If you want to know exactly when I'm buying crypto, you can check out the link underneath the video to the Patreon, because I can't make videos every single time that I buy a crypto or sell a crypto or anything like that. And there's a link down there to Webull. I just found out that they give up to $30,000, but at least $34 if you deposit any amount on the platform. So you can deposit $10 and then get $34, and it takes a few minutes. So definitely sign up with that link underneath the video if you haven't already done that. So let's talk about the market right now. Obviously, we've moved up a lot from the bottom. We're still historically cheap. When you think long-term, the asset class is going to be worth multiples of what it is today. We're still below the 200-week moving average, but we've moved up very quickly, and typically we go sideways for about a year, maybe up a little bit during that year before the next Bitcoin halving. So I thought it would make sense to start looking at what I would do right now if we do fall back down to 16,000, or if we pumped up to 30, what am I going to do? And really how I imagine it is 4 different scenarios. The market goes up and Bitcoin dominance goes up. The market goes up, Bitcoin dominance goes down. The market goes down, Bitcoin dominance goes up, and the market goes down and Bitcoin dominance goes down. And the reason that's important is because I have a lot of money in crypto, and I'm trying to make sure that I allocate towards the right cryptos at the right time, because altcoins probably will perform and outperform Bitcoin in the next bull cycle, but dominance might go up in the short term. So if I can get in and out around the right time, we could make a lot of money. So let's just walk through this slowly. If the market goes up, let's say Bitcoin goes up to 26,000 or 30,000, and Bitcoin dominance goes up as well. So Bitcoin is worth maybe 50% of the overall crypto market. Other cryptos kind of lag behind. We don't see as much excitement, but Bitcoin continues to move up because maybe institutional money piles in, or we often see Bitcoin just lead the way anyways. So we continue to see Bitcoin dominance go up. It's around 45% right now. I plan on possibly selling some Bitcoin and buying alts. The reason for that is because Bitcoin often leads and then altcoins follow. Even if this is just a pump and then we're going to fall back down, if Bitcoin pumps enough, you would assume that the money would go to altcoins. And I'm not talking about buying, the 1,000th largest crypto out there. I'm talking about buying top 100 coins. And maybe I'll degen into some smaller coins with a very, very small portion of my portfolio. But I'm really looking at moving more of my crypto into maybe Ethereum, Phantom, Polygon, more as a short-term kind of trade. Now, I realize that's a little bit risky, but if Bitcoin moves up to 30,000 and Polygon's still at $1.20 or $1.25, I think Polygon probably will pump up because people will take profits from Bitcoin, move it into smaller altcoins. So that is if the market goes up and Bitcoin dominance goes up. Now, what if the market goes up, but then Bitcoin dominance goes down? Because people realize that Bitcoin's moving up to $30,000. They start piling into altcoins. They dump money in. Well, I may at that point actually sell some altcoins and either keep it in cash or put it in Bitcoin. And I realize that sounds a little bit weird, especially because I am pretty low on alts as it is. I have less than 20% alts compared to 80% Bitcoin, just about. But at that point, if Bitcoin's moving up, and we already have had a good year so far, we're up like, 40% this year. Let's say it continues to move up, right? Bitcoin's at 30,000. We've pretty much doubled from the bottom within a few months. And maybe it's a little bit down the line a little bit. This is like basically in the next 6 months I'm talking about, probably in the next few months. But if Bitcoin's doubled and alts are running, we're talking about alts probably being up 300, 400% since November or December. That would mean Ethereum probably around 3,000 again, 2,500, something like that. And a lot of other altcoins moving up even more. I think that would be a very quick move, especially because we still have to wait a year and a few months from now for the next Bitcoin halving. We still have some problems that are happening in the economy. We're still not sure if we're going into recession. And I think the excitement might just be a little bit overblown at that point. So I would sell some of the alts. Depending on what Bitcoin's sitting at, depending on the macro economy, I might just keep it in cash or I might stack up some more Bitcoin, assuming that the dominance will go up eventually before the next bull run. Now, if the market goes down, let's say we do get screwed over and the market dumps right back down. There are some people calling for that because we have moved so much and there's still problems overall in the economy. Let's say dominance goes up and the market goes down. Bitcoin is maybe $20,000, maybe it's $18,000, but it's 50% of the market now instead of 45%. That means a lot of altcoins are falling down pretty significantly. We might see a $1,000 Ethereum. We may see other altcoins falling down 50% from here, if that's the case. And in that scenario, Bitcoin dominance is going up. I may sell Bitcoin and move into alts, really positioning myself for the next bull run. And again, it's going to depend on how quickly this happens. It's going to depend on what these altcoins are being valued at compared to Bitcoin. But at that point, I think that would be a pretty good buying in time for the next cycle. Like, who's going to argue if Polygon falls down to 70 or 80 cents, Bitcoin's still at 20,000 or 18,000? I think that would probably be a pretty good time to load up on alts for the next cycle. And maybe we're going to mistime it a little bit, but we're going to be buying knowing that we're going to hold them for the next year. And I'm not going to sell all my Bitcoin at that point. I'll probably still stay majority in Bitcoin, but I will definitely shave off a significant portion of my Bitcoin to go into altcoins because that is a better play long term in terms of price appreciation versus risk at that point. Now, what if Bitcoin dominance goes down and the market goes down? So alts are falling, Bitcoin's falling. I don't think this is a very likely scenario. Maybe Bitcoin leads at first and altcoins don't bleed yet. But if the market crashes to maybe Bitcoin at 18,000 again, or maybe it makes new lows, and dominance is going down, somehow alts are staying a little bit higher valued. At that point, I would just dollar cost average into Bitcoin because most likely Bitcoin's going to do really well in the future, and alts are probably going to fall down after that because Bitcoin sometimes leads the way, but if Bitcoin falls back down to prior lows or close to prior lows, alts are probably going to do worse than Bitcoin. Now you might be saying, why would you even dollar cost average into Bitcoin at that point? Why wouldn't you just hold your money in cash, wait a little bit? Well, because last time a lot of people were saying to do that was in November or December when they were saying, don't buy Bitcoin, it's going down to 15,000. And now we're at 23,000. We're up like 40% for the year. So if we get close to, if we fall under $20,000, I'll be adding Bitcoin for sure. If we fall much below that, I'll probably add more aggressively. But those are my different scenarios. I think we really have to look at dominance. We have to look at what's happening in the market. And of course, a lot of it's going to depend on the Fed. A lot of it's going to depend on the economy. Are there any other black swans that happen in crypto? Are there any other liquidations? How does this all shake out? And I think those are really the scenarios to think about. How does Bitcoin move compared to the alts so you can position yourself in the right altcoins versus Bitcoin? And then what does the general market do? Are you going to put more money in, or are you taking profits? And again, we could move up to $30,000 on Bitcoin and just keep on racing up, but that's probably not the most likely scenario. Typically, we do see times where we cool off a little bit after big pumps, especially with so much time before the next Bitcoin halving. We could make a case maybe though that the Fed starts cutting rates and then we push into the next cycle really early, but I'm not so sure that's very likely to happen. I think we may start to see the Fed taper off and maybe they slow down rate hikes. Maybe they even cut a little bit, but I would assume then that we wouldn't have a massive pump and continue to move up. I don't think we're hitting prior all-time highs in the next couple months. I don't think that's very likely. And at that point, I'm taking profits because we're up, 300% on Bitcoin, a massive asset at that point in just a few months. So that's not very likely to happen. But if it does, we're probably going to experience a pullback. There's probably a lot of FOMO happening. Let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Hopefully I explained it well. Hopefully you can understand each of the different scenarios. Maybe next time I can put it on a slide for you. Let me know if you'd rather have that in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching. Check out Webull underneath the video. Again, $34 for a few minutes of signing up to a stock platform and initiating a deposit of just a few dollars. Definitely check it out. It supports the channel too. And I'll see you in the